So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to form the present and the imperfect tenses. When I form verbs, I sometimes call it the so method because you sew a verb together by starting with the stem, then adding the endings, and then thinking about and incorporating what I call the weirdness. The stem for the present and imperfect tense is going to be the present stem for both tenses. The endings we'll go over in the slide that's coming up. And the weirdness is going to be a vowel shift that shows up in the third and fourth conjugations only. So remember that the present stem is the second principal part, so that's that infinitive form, and then you remove the RE. So the present stem will always end in a vowel. That's important to keep in mind. So you only remove RE, not vowel RE. The endings we're going to add for the present tense are O, S, T, mus, tis, nt. And then for the imperfect, the endings are bom, bos, bot, bomus, botis, bont. So those are going to be the endings we're going to add to the present stem. So let's conjugate clamo, clamare in the present tense. The first thing you can do, which is nice in the present, is you can just copy this form into this box. So clamo. And then everywhere else you're going to write the present stem. So you'll write clama 5 times, and then after that you are going to write the endings. So we already have written the O here, so we'll add S, T, mus, tis, nt. And there's no weirdness because clamo, clamare, this is a long A, a strong A, so it doesn't shift. So once you've done this, we're done. I shout, you shout, he shouts, we shout, y'all shout, they shout. Let's do habeo, habere in the imperfect tense. So for this one, you're just going to write the stem to start off with. So you're going to write habe 6 times, and then after that, you're just going to add the endings. So bom, bos, bot, bomus, botis, bont. This is a second conjugation verb, and there's no weirdness, no vowel shift. Again, this E is really strong and powerful, so it doesn't change. So it's habe bom, habe bos, habe bot. I was having, or I used to have, habe bomus, habe botis, habe bont. So the weirdness we're going to talk about is in the third and the fourth conjugations. And when I say weirdness, again, it's a vowel shift that happens because the vowels in these 2 conjugations are a little weaker and a little more malleable. So for the third conjugation in the present tense, even though the stem ends in an E, the endings are actually going to be O, is, it, imus, itis, und. So this E changes to an I in these 4 places and then a U there. In the present tense, in the fourth conjugation, the only weirdness, the I is going to show up everywhere, but in the third person plural, it's going to gain a U. It's going to become I-U-N-T. So you add a U in the third person plural. And then in the imperfect, the stem is going to end in this I letter, and you are going to add the typical BA endings. But between the I and the BA is going to be added the letter E in all forms. So you'll end up with EA bomb is how it's going to be pronounced, and then bos bot, and so on. So this shows up in all 6 forms of the conjugation. This shows up only in the third person plural in the present tense. So let's see what this will look like. So let's conjugate pano, ponere. It's a third conjugation verb in the present tense. So the first thing you do is you copy this first form down, pano. You're never going to have to do anything in the present tense. This first form is the first person singular present. Next thing you're going to do is write down the stem, because even though the vowel is going to shift, I like you to get in the habit of writing the stem down, because that is the next step. And then you are going to add the endings s, t, mus, tis, nt. And then the last step that's going to happen is you are going to change this vowel here to an I. So it's going to be ponis, ponit, ponimus, ponitis, and then this last one will change to a U, ponunt. Sometimes this is called a fishhook because the vowels end up being O, I, U, and it looks a little bit like a fishhook, so sometimes I call it the fishhook weirdness, and that's what I'm referring to there. So dormio, dormire in the present tense, the only weirdness is going to be down here in this third person plural. So in the present tense, you'll copy the first form, dormio, and then you're going to write the stem, dorme, and you're going to write it 5 times, as we always do. And then we're going to add the typical endings, s, t, mus, tis, and then I forgot to write this stem. So you're going to write the stem, you're going to add the nt ending, and then the weirdness is that you add an additional u, so it's dormiunt. So that u doesn't squish out the I, because the I is strong and powerful. It just gets added to the end. So dormiunt is how you would say they sleep or they are sleeping. And then in the imperfect, it's the same weirdness throughout. So you're going to write the stem 6 times, and then you're going to add the imperfect endings, and then you're going to include in between the stem and the endings, you are going to include what I call an infix, which is something that gets stuck in the middle of the letter E. So after we've done the stem and the endings, the weirdness is that it gets this extra E there. So it's dormiebam, dormiebas, dormiebat, dormiebamus, dormiebatis, dormiebant.